Hello and welcome to all the parents and teachers for today's webinar on orientation on A2 key for schools, B1 preliminary for schools, B2 first for schools, and C1 advanced. Those who are not aware of these terms, don't worry. We will explain all these terms in our webinar today. And we aim to cover the topic for today in 50 minutes, about in 50 minutes. And the remaining 10 minutes, we will keep it for the questions or the clarifications that you want to see regarding today's topic. And we will enable the chat option during the end so that you can ask your questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And in case you're having difficulties viewing the presentation or hearing the presenter, you will find a reconnect button on the top of your screen. If you'll click on that, that will solve the problem for you. And we are happy to have with us Ms. Anuradha Prashant to deliver this webinar. She has 12 years of experience in corporate and academics, an ardent advocate of skill enhancement for success. She has been addressing various academic forums across graduate and postgraduate programs in many colleges and business schools for the same. So now I hand over the platform to Ms. Anuradha Prashant. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek, for the introduction. And warm welcome to all those who are here on a Saturday afternoon, the parents and teachers, and maybe a few students. So we're going to look quickly at what we are here today for, the agenda for today. We're going to look at Cambridge English Qualifications, which is offered by the Cambridge Assessment in India. And what is in it for you? What kind of advantages can you take by taking up these courses? So what you will be seeing on your screen is the agenda for today for the next 50 minutes. We're going to see who we are and how these qualifications are going to help your child or your student in your school. A little bit in detail about each of the qualifications and how do you see your fit towards each course. What are the various ways in which we support the learners and what you can do to take use of the support for your learners. And what happens after an exam? I think that's the most important question all in our minds. I mean, what is the benefit of all this and how do I interpret the results in progression? So we will do that. And towards the end, last 10 minutes, we will take on a few questions and try and answer them in the time that is permitted. I think today it's quite relevant that why we are learning English is all the more important because the moment we are going online, the moment the whole world is connected online, we're all on almost a common platform. So English is all the more important because then it becomes the common thread of the medium of communication. So not only that, it also helps us to express ourselves better, whatever be the medium, whether we are an in-person or whether we are talking through a webcam or a telephone or etc. Only the command over the language is going to be the differentiator in the coming days. So why do we think it is important? Of course, it helps us to open doors to study. So most of the foreign institutions are now open to starting online programs and you can actually enroll into them remotely sitting in India. But obviously, we need to have a certain command or a certain comfort level with the language that is going to be used as a medium of instruction. So it definitely opens doors to study, to work, travel, appreciate cultures. I think we understand and appreciate cultures more when there is a common language of communication. We're able to appreciate the culture also through the many books that we will be exposed to, films, music, so many things. I think overall, above all of this, it gives us a certain confidence to be, to openly express ourselves. So a lot of thoughts run on our minds and our children's minds. So English as a language gives a lot of self-confidence in terms of how do we express these thoughts to either known or even unknown strangers. So a little about who is Cambridge Assessment English. So the logo that you are seeing on your screen at the top left-hand corner of the screen is the Cambridge Assessment logo. And who we are a part of the University of Cambridge. And I think by now you would know that University of Cambridge is one of the oldest institutions in the world, and they help millions of people learn a lot of language. And the English language department in the English language cell in Cambridge helps millions of people learn English and prove their skills to the world. And this is the department that, if we were to relate to in an Indian context, is the Cambridge Assessment, which is a part of the University of Cambridge. And Cambridge Assessment English is again a non-for-profit venture, which is taking a lot of these qualifications across the world. And these English qualifications help a lot of students and learners at varying levels, schools, colleges, companies, those who are working in companies also take these qualifications. And it has clearly shown that they are able to progress better, because this is not just focusing on English as a subject. So a lot of parents and teachers come back and ask, okay, how is it different from the English that I'm learning as a part of my curriculum? So Cambridge Assessment English offers how do I use it as a skill and not just as a subject. So the entire language is delivered through the 4 skills which are used for communication. And we are kind of simulating it to the real life communication skills. And these qualifications are accepted and valued worldwide. So it's not just about a particular board or a particular country, and it is accepted and valued worldwide. There is the entire process, the entire way in which content has been developed and it is being delivered has an extremely positive impact on the entire learning and teaching process. So as trainers, as teachers, as parents, and as students, I think you start looking at the subject in a more positive way. And there is a lot of support which is available for learners and parents. So it's kind of a mutual growth when you choose to take up any of these English language qualifications. So what we are seeing on the screen is a more technical a bit of it, which I would like to dwell on for probably 5 to 10 minutes. And what is this common European framework of reference? Now, in the previous slide, we talked about how it is accepted worldwide, how these qualifications are accepted worldwide across companies, across institutions. Now, if something is accepted by a large number of members, then there has to be a base level of standard. And this standard is the common European framework of reference. So when I say, for example, centimeters or meters, it is accepted worldwide as a measurement of length. So similarly, in the English qualifications or in language qualifications, there is a framework which is referred to as the common European framework of reference. And it is an international standard for describing any language ability. Now here, the language is not seen only in terms of literature or prose, but in terms of how the language is being used as a skill. So there are varying levels. Broadly, the levels are between A1, which is a very, very basic level where a learner typically begins, to a C2 level, which is a proficient level or an expert level. Now, each of these levels, be it A1, A2, B1, B2, or C1 or C2, at each level, it says how much the person who has been certified at that level, how are they using the language, what is their capability, or it is expressed in terms of can-do statements. And Cambridge Assessment English has been continuously involved with the CEFR in the research and development. So it is not a standard which has been developed in 1950 and it's applicable in 2020. No, it is constantly being updated, upgraded. So it's very, very relevant to the real world needs. When I say real world, again, education institutions and corporates who use these certificates. So each of these Cambridge qualifications pertains or relates to a particular level, say A2 or B1 or B2, and provides a clear-cut objective, clear-cut focus, and a clear-cut result to the entire program. So you have an objective, you have a focus area in which the learner is developed, and there is a certain amount of result which is given at the end of a particular certification that the learner chooses to undertake. So what are these levels and how do these levels help my child is a question that all of you must be running through in your mind, right? So before we go on to that, I'm just going to briefly allow you to understand the data that you are seeing on your slide. This is the breadth or the width at which the qualification has been accepted. So a lot of us in India, especially, we focus on mathematics and science and the technical subjects, but we are not, or we were not, focusing too much on the communication skill ability. But world over, now the need has increased for a focus on a common communication skill development also. And therefore, you can see that almost 60 million learners have taken these exams till date. And the entire learner support that we provide supports more than 20 million digital learners. And the qualifications are accepted by 20,000 organizations worldwide, which means it includes, reputed universities and companies. And the exams and the tests are taken in more than 130 countries. And not all countries, English is spoken as a mother tongue. English is still a foreign language. So the qualification brings that amount of research into the learning resources also, that even as a foreign language, you can learn English to its expert level. So this is how the Cambridge English qualifications are lined up so that they conform to the CEFR standard. So if you see at A1 level, we have the starters, movers, and flyers, which is not pertaining to today's session. So we're going to look starting from A2, which is key for schools, B1, B2, until about C1, which is the advanced level. Now here, whatever is given, which is the lower secondary and the upper secondary, right at the bottom of the graph, you can see primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary. So the lower secondary and upper secondary is a ballpark. It's just a indicator saying the age and the level at which the learner would be there at the school. But it is not a watertight compulsion that somebody who is 14 cannot take this particular, or somebody who is 15 cannot take this particular level. No, it is not like that. It is all based on the ability. So if a 14-year-old feels that, I have the ability and I might actually appear for B2 first for schools, yes, so they can take the level according to the skill at which they are currently. So it's only an indicator saying that lower secondary and upper secondary, which we are mentioning on this CEFR framework. So we will look a little bit more in detail about each of the qualifications that are there. So we will first start with what are the qualifications that are available. So you can see A2, which is the key for schools, B1 preliminary for schools, first for schools, which corresponds to the B2 level, advanced, which is the C1 level, and proficiency, which is the C2, or which is the highest level that is possible. And all these assessments, in fact, we do not wish to call it exams, but we call it as assessments because they only help you to improve your skills and kind of map your progress at each level. So they all work around the real life communication skills. All the topics and tasks that are assigned or tested are all for the interests and the experience largely children exhibit at this particular age or a particular school going group. And the materials that are available also are for learners, parents, or facilitators to do it together. And as the child progresses from one level to the other, you can markedly see the improvement that the child is displaying, the learner is displaying, by how they are adopting those skills in their daily lives for communication. So the first certificate or the first qualification that is available is the A2 key for schools. Now, A2 key for schools is a level which we recommend for the lower secondary, say between somewhere in the middle school, 7th standard or 8th standard, 6th to 8th standard, somewhere in between that, we recommend the A2 key for schools. Again, as I said, it's only an indicator. Your child, based on their capability, can choose whether they are correct for this level, or maybe they should take the next level. So how is this assessment done? As I said, most of the Cambridge qualifications, or all of the Cambridge qualifications, are skill oriented, And we focus on the 4 language skills that are important for any language, more so for English. So here we are looking at reading and writing as the primary skill, and listening and speaking as the communication skill. So in reading and writing, there is a 70-minute test. So obviously they're coupled together. What you are given is something like your, a comprehension, a small passage which is given, or some messages are given, and you are asked questions from what you have read. And writing could be a short note, a diary entry on your daily life, or a letter, or a experience of a holiday, or write something about your hobby. Short writing texts, short reading texts. What you are judged for in this is your vocabulary, your use of grammar, and how are you able to bring it together in a logical sequence of sentences. So reading and writing. Obviously, the preparation also is tuned towards how do you improve these skills. So how do you read for summary? How do you look for certain key important points? Or are you able to summarize the reading? So these are all the skills that you will be trained for in the preparation for this particular certificate, which will be tested in the exam or in the assessment. Listening is for 30 minutes, in which you will be listening to an audio or a set of audio, and you would understand and answer simple questions and instructions. Very often people ask, oh, will I be able to understand a foreign accent? There would be no accent in what you hear. The speaker could be foreigner to India or some other nationality, but there would be no accent. So the audio is quite clear. Again, the preparation involves a lot of this. And I must add over here that people who undergo, the learners who undergo this program or the preparation for this qualification, have shown immense improvement in this particular area. Because as such, at the lower secondary level or in the middle school, the listening is quite distracted. So when they undergo this program, the listening as a skill, even for other subjects, has shown a marked improvement amongst the learners who take the training or who take up this assessment. So it's one of the most important skills, especially today when we are going in an online mode. We cannot be repeatedly asking for clarification, so we need to listen in more clearly. Speaking is a short 8 to 10 minutes, a personal interview where you are asked to, initially it would be a comfort, what is your name, etc. Once a candidate is comfortably settled in, you're asked for make simple plans. Say you're going to go for a picnic, and what are the things that you would like to do in a picnic, or something, your likes, your dislikes, or your opinions on a particular picture reference or a word or something. So you're given certain clues or cues, and then you're asked for your likes, dislikes, and simple language. So this is basically to see, are you able to put your thoughts together, think calmly, and answer. So obviously at this stage, the skill is very, very Yeah, I'm sorry, there was a power failure and it's taken some time to reconnect back into the generator. So I'm sorry for the disturbance. So we were at A2 key for schools. So we were at the speaking test, which is like an interview. And the level to which it corresponds to is the CEFR level A2, which is one of the basic levels, slightly higher than the basic level. The test format is, it can be a computer-based test or a paper-based test. Now, more details on this, I think we can take it towards the end. There is an email ID which you can contact through your local assessment agency. The number of papers are 3, which is reading and writing is 1, listening and speaking is the second one. So there are 3 papers. The total exam length that, as you can see on the slide, is about 108 to 110 minutes, which is like roughly about 2 hours is what is the exam time. And what you can see over here on your right side, just below the pictures of the books, is the preparatory material that is available for learners and facilitators. The facilitator could be the parent, could be the teacher. So both of them, there are certain materials which are available online, which you can make use of. So a sample, for example, A2 key for schools, a sample writing task could be, how do you use the word preposition in fill in the blanks kind of an exercise. So this is a sample task for A2 key for schools. We recommend about 3 or 4 such written tasks could be there. The next level after A2 is the B1, which is the preliminary for schools. Here you can see that the skills are the same. The reading, writing, listening, and speaking is the same. Obviously, the goals set or the focus on what part of the skill which is being trained on is higher. So here, if you see in the reading text, there will be a lot of factual data. So you will have dates, or you will have times, or you will have small data which is given. And you will need to understand those factual texts and write about the everyday subjects. So that is the kind of level of reading and writing that is expected at the B1 preliminary level. Then you have the listening task. Again, here it could be something like a TV program on a talk show, or some science show from something that you see normally on a Discovery Channel or a National Geographic or something like that. You have to understand what is being spoken for, that is the summary, and write. So in the previous level, maybe you will be asked to fill in the gaps, exact words that you hear in your listening task. Here you'll have to listen for summarizing. So how do you interpret what you are listening to? What you are hearing is a skill that we are looking at. Again, speaking, how are you able to express your emotions or your thoughts on a particular object or a particular film or a particular picture or a particular movie? How are you able to express it? It could be likes, it could be dislikes, it could be, for example, on Anne Frank. So what are your thoughts, or what is your emotion on the particular movie Anne Frank, or something like that? How are you able to positively communicate what you feel into a spoken medium? So this is again the skill that is being focused on as a goal or an outcome objective. The CEFR level that it corresponds to is B1. Again, this assessment is available both as computer-based and paper-based. The time limit is slightly more. It is a little over 2 hours, say about 140 minutes, so 2 hours and 20 minutes, or something, 2 hours and 10 minutes. So the timing is slightly more because the capability of what you're being assessed also is slightly more. Here also we have a lot of online resources which are available both for the trainer, for the learner, or the facilitator. For all the 3 levels, you have a lot of materials which are available online. After the B1 comes the B2 first for schools. And here also you can see that the goals or the outcomes at each level is pitched higher. So you're slowly increasing, or you're progressing to the next level. So when a learner starts at A2 level, or when a learner starts at B1 level, and they move on to the B2 level, there is quite a bit of a jump. It's not just one increment. There is quite a bit of a jump. And these skills are not just used for English language. It goes well and beyond into other facets of your personality also. So how are you able to communicate face to face? How are you able to handle, are you able to think on your feet and still be very, very clear in what you are saying? Are you able to give reasons? You're not just stating an answer. Are you able to give reasons? Are you able to look for information, take small notes, summarize them, etc.? So all these are the skills that they are being tested for. In this particular skill onwards, you can see that reading and writing is not clubbed together. So reading is a separate skill that is being assessed for, and writing is a separate skill that is being assessed for. Two separate timings. So it's 75 minutes for reading, a little over 1 hour, and writing is a good 1 hour, 20-minute exercise in which you are given two topics and you are asked to write. It could be a letter to an editor, it could be a review of a book or something like that. So here what we are seeing is also how are they able to summarize thoughts from a given material and also add their own inputs and present it together in a cohesive, in a logical fashion, both in reading and writing. Listening, again, for example, a news channel. So it's quite fast. It is not being spoken to at a very slow pace, and not always there will be visuals to aid the listening. So how are you able to listen to such texts, and how are you able to interpret and answer them? It corresponds to the B2 level. This level, if you see, it is slightly, I would say, a good jump from an A2 level. So you cannot go straight from A2 to B2. So you need to be very, very sure that you are, at a B1 level and you are good at the B1 level to go to the next level. Again, this is about both ways. You can take computer-based or paper-based. The number of papers are 4 from this level onwards. The reading and the writing are 2 separate elements. The total exam length is about so if it's 200, it's close to almost 3 hours. So they are also used to sitting and concentrating for 3 hours. Of course, they are not together. So the reading and writing is on a day, done together, listening with a break, and speaking is also after a break. So why do you think, or at a B2 level, first for schools, what do the kids or what do the students or what do the learners do with these skills? Most of them learn a foreign language these days, even if not at school, outside, German or French or Japanese or anything. So when you're learning a foreign language, the common medium of relatability is English. So once you are good at that, the foreign language comes along much quicker. Playing a musical instrument, again, Cambridge, Trinity exams are there, or ability to appreciate music of all genres. So that itself, the preparation towards Cambridge qualifications brings into the students. So what we are trying to bring here is, it is not just an English assessment. It is not just an English certificate. It is a certificate which helps them, or it's the entire preparation to the certificate helps them in their overall personality. So they're able to express themselves better. Their interests are more varied. They're able to read a lot more. And their general exposure levels are quite higher than what we probably 30 or 40 years ago were more used to. So this is how what you're seeing on your screen right now is a very pictorial level of how the speaking test is done. It is not necessarily a foreigner or somebody like that. Could be, but not necessarily. Most of the speaking examiners are trained professionals from India, and they conduct the speaking test. It is conducted in pairs, which means 2 of them would be there and there would be 1 examiner. And the one behind, you're seeing taking notes, is the observer. So she actually makes a note on body language and how are you thinking and what are your facial expressions. It's assessing you overall. So it's quite a wholesome assessment that is provided. After the B2 level, we go to the C1 advanced, which is the secondary level, which is the pre-college, the 11th standard and the 12th standard, or the 10th, 11th, 12th, or the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, if you got to see. And here, it moves on from a mere doing tasks to a little bit of more understanding. How are you able to understand two differing points of view? How are you able to quickly run through something and provide a summary in a reading skill, or in a speaking skill? Say you don't know anything about the topic, some very abstract topic is given to you. You don't know anything about the topic. How are you using it to converse? Where do I find use for these skills? Most of the places, for example, I do teach in business schools, and I find that children who have undergone this rigor in, say, a C1 advanced or a B2, they are very good in group discussions, they are very good in presentations, they are very good in classroom debates, in classroom interactions. So argument does not become only a fight or a very negative word, but argument for the sake of collection of information. So that skill is very, very important these days, and in that way we are observing that learners who have come through this kind of a preparation are very confident and are better performers from just merely having technical skills. So when you combine technical skills and communication skill, you get a wholesome package, and the person is able to communicate much, much better. And these are skills which are better done at a younger age. When they come to 25 or 27 or 30 years of age, it is slightly difficult to mold them. At a younger age, if they kind of build on with it or grow with it, it is very, very easy for us to see the change, and they are able to bring it into them as a habit. Again, this level corresponds to CEFR at C1 level. And after this, what you have is the proficiency level, which is even more advanced for college or college students. We're not looking at that over here. And the test format is again computer-based or paper-based. It is for roughly 235 minutes. So you can actually see close to 4 hours. But again, as I said, everything doesn't happen together. There are enough breaks between two skills. So between reading and writing and listening, there are enough breaks. C1 Advanced, for example, this is a short task that you can see on your screen. So they have to use the right word. So their mastery of vocabulary will be good when they have been an avid reader. They have been reading a lot of material, their vocabulary will automatically improve. And the preparation to the course ensures that they have been reading a lot also. So automatically their vocabulary, etc., is at a better level. Communication, everything is at a much pitched at a very, very higher level. This is the C2 proficiency, which is not at a school level, but is the highest level that is being offered by Cambridge English Assessment. So here also you can see the tasks are skill-oriented: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. This is for C2 proficiency. So how am I using the word effect? Am I making it as effective strategy or efficient, or what is it? How do I use this word in a particular context? Very often people ask, what is the difference between these qualifications and IELTS or TOEFL? They are all visa requirements, whereas these qualifications, as I said, will hone your entire personality so that all those exams or requirements become much easier to take. So even if you're going for an MBA, or you have to write your statement of purpose, or you're applying abroad for some other job or profession, this communication skill becomes inbuilt into you. You're not specifically training for it just before a job interview or a visa interview. Yeah. So apart from the materials that are given once you register for the certificate or the level, there are a lot of online resources that are available which support the learners and the facilitators. So you have specifically oriented for exams, which is the first one that you're seeing, exam preparation material. You have a lot of fun interactive materials which are in the form of games or quizzes. So most of the children have a mobile or a mobile app, so they can just play it along, And then there are some resources for parents. So why as parents should we be looking at resources? It gives a bonding time. So there's a lot of, you are also into the process, and you may not be comfortable with the entire language or skill, but you're also a part of the process, and you're able to, maybe take a topic and discuss or debate or have a discussion with your child. So there are a lot of topics that are available. A lot of social media material is available also. In case your learners are on social media, they can access it. Videos, online learning activities, a whole lot of materials are available on the websites which are listed. You can just go to cambridgeesol.org and you can see a lot of materials pertaining to each of these levels are there. Even if you want to see whether I am at that level, you can just go through and see whether you're comfortable with the level to begin with. Even if you are not, maybe it's a good thing to start with that level, because at the end of the level, or by the time you're ready to give the exam, you would have built on those skills. So it's a self-progressive kind of a tool. What happens after an exam? So I take an exam, the results come after some time. So what happens after that? So how are the results? So the results are basically given for each level. So at each skill, so if you have taken, say, the B1 level, so a B1, which is the preliminary for schools. So at that level, each skill you are awarded some marks. So basically you will know what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. I'm very strong in reading. I'm average in writing. I'm very good in listening. Again, I need to improve in speaking. Now, one way to look at it is I'm very strong and I'm very weak. The other way to look at it is the areas which I'm in weak are the opportunities for me to develop on. So once you know where you lag or where you need to improve upon, then you work on that individual skill a bit more, use a lot more of activities maybe, and you progress on to the next level, and you can see that in the next level you've improved on those skills. So as I said, these assessments are very, very progressive in nature. They don't give you one lump sum mark in the end. So it evaluates you for each of the skill. And in fact, the detailed evaluation is also available, wherein each skill is broken down into a set of can-do statements. And when you go into those can-do statements, you can again analyze your areas of strengths and areas of opportunities. So this information, you can use it along with your teacher and your learner to do a problem recognition and progress, so that by the time you finish the next level, you have kind of improved on all accounts. This is how the certificate looks. So you can see an overall score, and you can see a split score, which is reading, use of English, writing, listening, and speaking. Even in the speaking, it is again split. The marks are there are can-do statements that are there, which will tell you how well you have done in each of those areas that you were assessed for. These certificates are valid for life. It is not. It does not have a 3-year period, 5-year period. So they are valid for life, and it says something about you. So when you go on to your higher education or work, you don't even need to carry the certificate. Your personality will speak for itself. Who recognizes? All these companies world over, a lot of reputed universities and institutions. This is just a small list. There are a whole lot of companies and whole lot of institutions which are recognizing. And as I said, it will start reflecting on your personality. So people will know that you have done something special. You have taken some science kind of a preparatory tool, and it becomes easier to succeed in a lot of ways. So I'll come to an end of our presentation. We still have about 15 minutes left, but if you have any further inquiries, you can mail in to us at this ID, and you can also ask over the chat right now, and we'll be able to address your queries on that front. So we've enabled the chat. So if you have any queries, you can put down your queries and we can address them right away. I'll hand it over to Abhishek.
Thank you so much, Ms. Anuradha Prashant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for Ms. Anuradha for delivering this informative session for us today. And I hope this would have been a very useful and informative session for all the participants. And we have enabled the chat option. So please, if you have any queries, if you have any questions, use the chat option to ask your questions, and we'll be happy to answer those questions.
So I'm just picking up questions which I can answer. So there's somebody called Percial who's asked for, is there any age limit? As I said, we start from the lower secondary. which is 12 upwards. But again, you can just decide if the ward is already proficient in a lot of areas, then you can decide between, say, an A2 and a B1. So there is no tight age that is said that only 12 or only 13. There is a range which is available. You can go through the material, but yeah, it starts typically in the lower secondary, which is, I would say, 12 to 13 years onwards is the A2 and B1 levels begin.
There is one question someone has asked: how can we get a training for CAE preparation?
Okay, where is that? Okay. Once you register for the assessment, you would be given a lot of materials, which are bound books, and you also have a lot of access to online resources also. Time and again, if there are institutions which are coming together and a lot of students are taking, you can request for a train the trainer, or a training session, just to get an overall view of whether your own self training is correct or not. But a lot of resources are available online which you can use for self learning. At a CAE level, definitely you would have already reached a particular level of proficiency, so you can use the online resources to get trained further. How does this improve vocabulary? So one way it improves vocabulary is you are reading a lot. The materials cover a wide range of topics. So there is a lot of reading that happens. So automatically, the more you read, your vocabulary keeps improving. Somebody is asking about the YLE exam. I think you will have to ask the local coordinator in your school, or you can mail to the enquiries at cambridgeenglish.in. Age limit, again, I said, for the key for schools, 12, 13 is the starting age, but you will have to make a judgment. Whether 9th standard student is good for B1 level or not is a judgment the child has to make, but overall they should be good at the B1 level. If they are in 9th standard CBSE, generally B1 level. But please ensure that there is a lot of training that goes into taking the assessment. So my child will be getting 92 in English in CBSE. That is no reflection on how they take the assessment. The preparation is more skill oriented. So definitely they have to take some self-paced training before they take the assessment. So the KET and PET are the terminologies which were originally used: key English test and preliminary English test, which is what is now the A1 key for schools and B1 levels. So the names change, the content remains the same. I'm very quickly going through the questions. Amity International School, I have registered. There is, I think, the more technical details on exam dates and overlapping, you will need to discuss with your local school contact point. When will the preparation start? As soon as you register for the exam, you can start the preparation. How can I join the course? I think you can either refer to your local school or college, wherever you are. You can refer to them, or you can email at this ID, enquiries@cambridgeenglish.in.
Either you can check with your school if they are providing.
Yeah, you can check with your school.
You will be able to get yourself registered with the school. Otherwise, you can also ask the school authorities, or you can directly email us to at this email ID, and we'll come back to you.
Quarantine, how will they keep exams? Again, these are all logistics issues. You can check with your school and probably Cambridge. These tests are offered both computer-based and paper-based, so I'm sure there'll be a way to work around it, as we have worked around for the webinar. So there will be a way to work around it. KET and PET, I think I have answered. Online resources are free. Can a 17-year-old take A2? Yes, you can. But you just go through some of the A2 materials to see if you're comfortable with the level. You might not be able to answer everything. Am I comfortable getting trained for this level? If you are 17 years old, I recommend you take the next level, which is the B1 or B2 also. Exam schedules, please ask your local exam point where you have registered with. Can we change in the middle of a level to another level? I don't know, Abhishek. I don't think that is.
If you have cleared a particular level and you feel confident that yes, you can offer another level, then you can. But otherwise, generally, it's a progressive transition, because you have to. It is not possible for you to jump a level and move to another one. So slowly, gradually, you will acquire those skills. So it is always better that you go step by step. That is the advice.
Yeah.
There's one question: is the computer-based? Oh, I just missed it. Sorry.
Okay.
The chats are running so fast.
I know. It's
Difficult.
quite.
Is computer-based format of exams like online assessment?
No. I think when you're saying online assessment, it is not an MCQ. It is not choose between the 4 answers. No, it's not like that. You will have to still, fill in texts, etc. Only thing, the medium of where you are taking the assessment is computer and not as a pen and paper. Something about Ivy Leagues.
This Tanvi, she has asked that she's in class 5 and can she take the CAE exam, C1 exam?
No. It's extremely progressive. When I said that age is not a watertight compartment, you cannot jump from 12 to 18. So obviously, between 2 levels, you can assess. Say, if I'm saying between 12 and 14, B1 can be taken, or A2 can be taken. You would either fall into A2 or B1 based on your capability, but you cannot straight away go to the proficiency level, because, as I said, it is not a subject which you can memorize or learn the semantics. It is a skill that you need to develop. There is some amount of emotional maturity also that needs to come into a child. So if you're in class 5 at the age of 12, you cannot take the maturity level which is required for the CAE exams.
And you can also log into our portal, which is cambridgeenglish.org. There you will find test your English option. So just try and take that test, and that will give you a brief idea what is the current level of your English is according to the CEFR.
Okay.
And probably then you can also decide that as well.
Do Ivy Leagues consider this assessment? As I said, this assessment is not an entry point, but Ivy Leagues see your entire personality when you're applying as a statement of purpose. So when you're doing this assessment, your progression is reflected in your personality, and that is compulsory for an Ivy League, because you will be competing with the top of the top slots of students coming world over. So obviously, communication skills, or your the way in which you communicate, the way in which you interact with others, there is a certain level expected. In that way, these assessments will help you to go to that level even before you apply for your Ivy Leagues. Definitely, they are a positive on your resume. So if you add them to your resume, they are a positive. But it is not a visa clearing exam for. Don't confuse between these two. They are not like a GRE or a GMAT, but they definitely contribute to your resume. It's like your Trinity keyboard. If you have done all 8 grades, it reflects a certain you. So it's something like that. Is the exam easy? It's more of, I said, it's a skill development and skill progression. So if you have prepared well, it should be a cakewalk. Can we avail the materials in online in the PDF form? Most of the materials are interactive. You'll find a lot of videos, you'll find a lot of games, etc., which you can play online. The book, if you're referring to the book, the soft copy of the book, I think that should be in a downloadable format.
And just to reiterate, there are a lot of people who are asking how to register. You can get in touch with your school, right? If they are not offering these assessments, either you can ask the school authorities to reach out to us at enquiries@cambridgeenglish.in, or otherwise you can also reach out to us directly at enquiries@cambridgeenglish.in, and we'll be happy to assist you with that.
So if you are not in a school, if you're a open school candidate, or if you're homeschooling candidate, you can reach out to the ID which is given over here. In your city, whenever the exam is given by any school which is registered, you will also be asked to join them. Which is better, B2 or C1 level? It depends where you are. So it has to be a progressive one. There is no universal rule that this is better than that, that is better than this. If you are already at B2 level, you should be looking at C1. If you are at A2 level, then you should be looking at B1 and B2. So please first go through the material, go through a sample A2 material and see if you are comfortable with it, and then move on. So don't please say that can I take this level directly and not do the levels below that. So it doesn't amount to taking a level and not doing well in it. So it has to show in you. Some of it becomes a part of you. So the way you speak, the way you listen will become a part of your personality. So you need to go step by step from where you are.
I think someone asked, Abhay Malik has asked, how will speaking be conducted online?
I think the way we are now in webinars, something like that can be worked out, but I'm not committing that this is the format that will be followed. But yeah, something will be worked out because Corona and COVID is an exceptional situation. We'll definitely work out. So usually these seminars are done face to face. So since we are now meeting online, so things do change. So I'm sure Cambridge will take care of it in its best possible way.
And someone has asked for the fee structure. So for that, again, I would like to say that please get in touch with your school. If they're offering the examination, then they would be able to tell you the fee structures related to these exams. If they are not offering, you can ask the school authorities to get in touch with us and we will assist them.
Can you register individually? Please email to this ID. And as I said, the dates will be dependent on the institution in your city which is going to be giving the assessment. So you can take the training, but the dates would be based on the institution in your area, in your city which is taking the assessment.
IT Jan has asked which level of CEFR is KET KET. So that is the A2
I
level.
didn't get which one?
So
Okay.
what is the KET level on CEFR?
Yeah, A2.
That is A2 level.
How to improve our speaking skills? I think you need to speak more, read more, listen more, and one skill is not independent of the other. I think that is what we are trying to say. That you cannot just be good in reading alone, or you cannot be good only in writing. So as your personality evolves, you have to each will start reflecting on the other. So if you read and write more, obviously your speaking is better. If your speaking is better, listening automatically gets better. So all the skills are interrelated, and it shows in your progress as you move on.
Zarina has asked us, A1 movers covers all 4 skills.
Yes, all the assessments covers all the 4 skills. The levels at which they are pitched at is different. So if you're going right from starters, movers, flyers, everything is focused on all the 4 skills. But at each skill, what are you being assessed for is different. So if you're looking at movers and flyers, what you are being assessed for is a direct reading or a direct writing or a direct reporting. Whereas at a higher level, say at the B2 level or the C1 level or the B1 level, you're also inferring, you're also reading something and understanding and putting it into your own words. So the skill remains the same, how you're using it. It's something like in LKG, you're learning 1, 2, 3, right? And then you come to a 7 standard and you're using it in a different way. You're using it in algebra, you're using it in so many other ways. So it's the same way.
And just to add on that, recently last week we have done an orientation for the YLE. So in case you want to access that webinar, just do write to us and we will be happy to share the recording of that webinar with us. That will give you more information about these examinations. And
is there a test to check for the level? I don't know if there's a diagnostic test at this level, but I don't know. I'm probably Abhishek can answer.
Yeah, there's the test your English option, which is there on our website, which is cambridgeenglish.org. You go to that website, you take that test. It's a simple test, and that will give you an idea what is the current level of your English is, and accordingly, you can opt for a assessment after that.
Yeah, so that will be the best way. If you don't know the level at which you are, then you can take that test your English, which is available online, and figure it out. Um, any other question other than
I think
10-year-old?
someone asked that the resources which are available online, are these resources free or paid? So if you go to cambridgeenglish.org, all the resources are free and you can access all these resources. There are resources for teachers as well available on that website, and there are resources, a lot of resources which are available for the learners as well,
Okay.
for all the skills
And
levels.
yeah, somebody, I'm not able to find the person's name. Somebody had asked how do you assess one level? So as I said, the results of one level will show you your areas for improvement. So those specific areas for improvement, you need to work on a little bit more, and then that area will show a development. So it's exactly like the way you prepare for any other assessment or exam that you have taken. There are certain strong areas, strength areas, certain areas which you can do better, and those areas you can do a lot more of activities, a lot more of uh, inputs that you can take, and definitely you can see a progress on that. What exam is there for class 5 and 9? Class 5, 6, 7, you can start either at the A2 level or the B1 after taking the diagnostic test for English. At 9 also, I think between B2, somewhere in the B2 level, you can take the test. But again, please take the diagnostic test, the test for English, which is available online.
Can we
What is the
take the assessment multiple times?
Where is that?
Shireen has asked that can we take the assessment multiple times?
You can take it multiple times, but if you're not seeing progress, then at least work on those areas where you are missing out on the level, because there is no pass or fail. So each level shows a particular bandwidth. So it is not like IELTS where I'm saying that you have passed or fail or TOEFL or something like that. So each particular skill shows a particular bandwidth. So if you're going to repeatedly take the same without changing your way of preparation, it is of no use. So identify, sit with your certificate, maybe with your facilitator, or maybe you can mail to Cambridge English and find out, and work on those specific skills which you feel you're missing out on. So you may be good in one or two, and you may need some kind of improvement on the other two. So work on them and take. So if you're repeatedly taking and you're not satisfied, then there's some problem that in your preparation that you're not able to progress. What is PET, CAT, FCE, CAE? These are all different names which were the older names given to these levels. So they have been changed to A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. Regarding results, I think again you need to contact your institution from where you have taken, or if you have taken privately, you can email to the email ID which is listed on your screen right now. Any other? Can we go to IELTS? Why is it that a child? See, I think Surya Raj, as I told, that these assessments are not a qualifying exam. IELTS or TOEFL is a qualifying exam. So whether you get 1100 or 1000 or 1200 in an IELTS or a TOEFL is dependent on how good your English is on its own. So if you have done all these assessments, you don't need to prepare separately for an IELTS or a TOEFL. You will easily walk it through. But you do need to take IELTS or TOEFL because it's a visa requirement. These tests or these assessments are more for improving your communication skills, improving your personality, improving your command over the language as such. Any other questions that I'm missing out on, or
I think we have answered
We've
quite a lot of the
answered most of
questions,
it.
and
Yeah.
we have reached the time as well. And before
Yeah.
that, I would like to say that I have pasted a feedback link in the chat. So we look forward to your feedback on today's webinar. So that is the reason we have pasted a survey link in the chat. Please use it to provide your valuable feedback. You will also receive survey link on your registered email as well. So if you want, you can provide us your feedback through that link as well.
Okay. So thank you all for attending, and I do hope you find it useful and you take on your preparations for the assessment.
Thank you so much once again, to all the participants, and stay safe. Thank you so much.